I've been using Claude by Anthropic very often lately to analyze color palettes from editorial photos that I'm inspired by. If you're unfamiliar with Claude, it is a large language model or LLM. Basically, it's an AI just like ChatGPT, but it's from a different company and it operates a little bit differently. Just now in the last hour while I've been working on my own projects, I came up with a pretty cool prompt that is working really well for me. I've created a quick workflow for analyzing color palettes in lots of photos very quickly. So I'm going to break that down for you. I'm going to show you the photos that I have been analyzing, and then I'm going to do an image analysis from scratch on video. Showing you all this will give you a better idea about my workflow and how I'm using AI to become a better creative director and art director. So these are the 4 photos that I just analyzed. Winter from Espa is the model in all 4 of these photos. 3 out of the 4 photos were for Cosmopolitan Korea. All of these photos feature Ralph Lauren clothing. I'm using Claude by Anthropic, and I recommend trying this pretty insane prompt. Analyze this photo and then create a color palette with hex codes that best represents the colors in the photo. After you generate the hex codes, create an artifact with the colors displayed in squares with the actual colors associated with the codes. Create a visual representation that is easy for a human to see and understand. So if you're unfamiliar with Claude, basically it runs code in the chat and then creates what's called an artifact, which is a visual representation of that code, as if it were deployed on a website. So I put this image into Claude and then I used this prompt and then it gave me this response. The image shows a young woman in a stylish outfit against a vibrant orange-red background. She's wearing a cream-colored beret and sweater with a blue garment visible underneath. Her hair is long and dark brown. The overall color scheme is warm and autumnal, with a mix of earthy and bold tones. Based on this image, here's a color palette with hex codes that best represents the colors. This is the visual representation of the color palette that AI generated. I think this is pretty good. If we look up here, we can see a little bit better. It really matched this orange-red color. Got the cream of the sweater and the deep blue, the dark brown here, the tones from her hair, and it matched her skin tone really well. So this is really easy to save in Figma, which I'm currently using. You can just save this as a preset color palette and then use it later or use it for inspiration. But I didn't want to stop there. I was analyzing 4 photos. I wasn't just analyzing that one. So if you are analyzing multiple photos in one session, you can follow up with this prompt. I think this saves a lot of time. So this is what I said. Now I will refer to our workflow as CA for color analysis. To save time, I will give you a photo and say CA. Then you will proceed with the analysis and artifact creation. Are you ready? And it said, I understand when you say CA followed by a photo. I'll perform the color analysis workflow we've established. This includes analyzing the photo, creating a color palette with hex codes, and generating an artifact. Here is the second photo. I said CA, again, that stands for color analysis. And then it got right to work. Based on the image, here's a color palette with hex codes that best represents the colors. This is the code it ran for the artifact, which you can see here. And if I click this, I end up getting this color palette. So this color palette pulls up. This is the visual representation of this code. I did it again for this photo. I dragged this photo in and then it responded based on the image. Here's a color palette with hex codes that best represents the colors. Here's the code. It's creating the hex codes and associating a name with those hex codes. And then it gives me a visual representation of this code in the form of an artifact. This color palette is also really good. All of these color palettes so far are amazing and very accurate, which blew my mind the first time I saw it. Here's the final photo that I analyzed in this session. I dragged it into the user interface and I said CA for color analysis. Based on the image, here's a color palette with hex codes that best represents the colors. Here is the code it ran, and then here is the color palette that it generated. It matched her skin tone, hair, and a process that this is a silver belt buckle, which I think is pretty crazy. It really matched the color of her shirt, jacket, and jeans. Okay, so that was the breakdown. Now I'm going to actually show you the prompts and the photos in the user interface for Claude. So this is Claude.ai. If you just go to Claude.ai, you can create a free account and do this completely for free. As you can see here, I already broke down and read these, so I'm not going to read them again. But when I put this prompt in here and then it gives me a response, this is what the artifact looks like. So this is the preview. and this is the code. So it generates this code automatically, and then it generates a preview. If I put this code into a website and launched it, I would see this diagram. So just for example's sake, I'm going to add a 5th photo, and you can watch Claude do its thing in real time. To stay consistent with the theme, I'm going to use another photo of winter from Espa in a Ralph Lauren campaign. I took that screenshot, dragged it into Claude, and now I'm just going to say CA for color analysis. Claude's thinking. It's giving me the response with the hex codes almost instantly. And now it's creating the code for the artifact. There it is. That is the color palette. So let's see how accurate this is. Beige hat, yes. Brown hair, yes. Green logo from the hat, yes. Off-white background, pretty good. Skin tone, and light blue shirt. I'd say this is pretty good. Very solid. The next step would be to add this photo and color palette to Figma so I can save it for later and use those color palettes. What I'm really doing this for is so I can put together a little bit of a library of color palettes from editorial shoots that I'm inspired by. I just like to look at that once every day or a couple times every day to develop my eye for color. I'll grab the screenshot, drag it into Figma, and then I'll screenshot the color palette as well, and drag that into Figma. And then this is a FigJam board just for ideas, but you can create a design file in Figma, save these as color palette presets. So that's it for this video. If you found this interesting or helpful or useful or you learned something new, please like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. I'm trying to put up a YouTube video every day and stay really consistent with this. Leave me a comment if there's something you want me to elaborate on, or if you want to see more AI stuff, color stuff, or creative direction stuff. Let me know and I'll try my best to create a video around it.